today I'm doing another video in my series of RWS verses. And today we're taking a look at the Voyager Tarot against the Universal Weight Tarot deck. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified every week when I upload a new video. And this is just the standard images that you would see in a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. And then the Voyager Tarot is a new interpretation of that. Now, the Voyager Tarot was originally printed in the 1980s, and then another print run in the 1990s, and then this is actually the 2017 version of the deck that I have. And let me just show you the backs of these decks here. This is the Voyager Tarot here, and I have colored the edges myself in blue to match the top here, and then here's the back of the Universal Weight Tarot deck. And I've separated these cards by suit here because I wanted to just go through these with you briefly. There were some changes made to the suits in this deck, and the author felt that the traditional images of the Rider-Waite-Smith were a bit archaic and wanted to change the names of some of the suits to bring it more into the 21st century. And this is in the author's words here. So the swords are a more archaic suit, according to the author. And so to bring that into the modern day, that suit has been changed to crystals. Wands stayed the same. Pentacles was changed to worlds, which is still fairly easy to connect to, and then cups stayed the same as well. So I just separated these briefly to show you those, and then we'll go ahead and do a flip through of all the deck now. So before we get into that, the size of these cards is bigger. It is about the size of a traditional oracle deck, and the size, width-wise, the cardstock is thicker. And if we take a look at, you can see if I stack these on the table here, you've got about, wow, it's fairly thick. It's about the length of my fingernail here. And then the back of the deck is really beautiful too. And then as far as size goes, this is your standard tarot deck size. And there it is there. And I'm going to go ahead and switch these because I started off my video the other way around, and that might bug people. It would bug me. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so the box itself, I'm not a super huge fan of. The cards just sit in here loosely, and when you stand it up, I tend to find that the cards, a couple cards will actually slip out of that and go down inside there. And I haven't had any cards damaged yet, but that is one thing I don't like about this. I'm going to go ahead and flip through the deck here. And then we'll start taking a look at these. So the Voyager Tarot is actually a collage deck, and it's got a collection of images, modern day images, things that you'll see as a part of your everyday life now. And it's loosely based on Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's very modern, and people that are super tied to the traditional version of Rider-Waite-Smith, if you try to stick with those meanings in a very strict way, you're going to have a hard time with this deck. I find that this deck is best if you just go completely, let go of everything that you know about tarot and just focus on the images and what kinds of feelings and emotions those bring, what kind of physical reactions, for me anyways, that I have in my body when I'm looking at those images. And I really am able to read with this deck very easily, and I like this deck. I am also really attached to Rider-Waite-Smith, so I find if I really try to stick with the traditional, completely with the traditional images, then that can sometimes get in the way, but it also can help. So you just kind of gotta take a look at each card individually and decide for yourself how much of Rider-Waite-Smith you want to bring into this. So the cards are in the same order. With the same titles on them. And you'll notice I do put cards on my or clothes on my naked people. I want younger people to be able to, my younger audience to be able to watch my videos. We've got Strength is swapped with Justice. So this would be normally the Justice card here for balance. I also find that nudity can be kind of jarring in a reading when I'm doing a reading for someone, so that's why I don't. And I'm only mentioning it because you'll notice that I have put clothes on these cards here. So here's the Justice, here's the Strength card, where in the Rider-Waite-Smith would be the Justice. And you do see that a lot. That does happen often. So this is one of the cards that I really look at when I'm deciding if I want to buy a deck or not. Temperance is art. Here's the Devil card. And one thing I do like about this as well is that there are most of the major cultures in the world are represented in this deck. So you do see Asian influence, Eastern and Western philosophies represented here. The tarot card is another one that I take a look at. And I am able to riffle shuffle this deck and shuffle it fairly well. The finish on them is a high gloss. And sometimes I don't like that because they tend to stick together, but in this deck it works. I like it. So if you're a fan of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith images and messages, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you agree with that, like me. But if you're open, you can give me a thumbs up too if you're open to other things as well. Life can get boring if you get stuck too closely into a hole. So one thing, as I'm talking, I'm passing through these here. Let me back up just a second here. So the court cards are a little different in this deck. They have the Sage, the Child, the Woman, and the Man. And the order that they're listed in the book is that the Sage comes first. And the author gave the reasoning for that as that the court cards are to represent the modern family, and this is a closer match of roles in a traditional family than the court cards are, because most families don't have a page and a prince or a knight or a king and a queen in their everyday life. So to make this a more modern take, they changed the titles of those. So you've got the Sage here. And then there are also keywords in here. I do find this deck is great for beginners because the keywords are on here, and you can completely throw out the Rider-Waite-Smith traditional version if you like and just focus completely on the images and read intuitively with that, or you can incorporate some of that into your readings as well. So the Knight would be the Child. The Queen is Woman. This one kind of reminds me of Ziva from NCIS, if you were ever a fan of that show. And then finally you've got the Man for the King. And then the Pentacles are World. And like I said, you can see some representation of this in here. You know, for example, you've got they're freezing and they're cold outside and it looks nice and warm inside the church. And then we've got, you know, the really hot desert, and then this looks like a really lush water-filled worlds here. So, you know, you could take a look at either one of those. You've also got this called a setback. So there are some similarities that you can gather in here. But if you're looking for a really easy version for someone to read using only the Rider-Waite-Smith knowledge that they have, this is not the deck for you. So again, we have the Sage, which is known as the Master. The Child of Worlds is the Player. Woman of Worlds is the Preserver. And you do see the abundance and fertility. And then the King of Pentacles. Yeah. So I definitely feel the same energy coming from these cards that I do the standard deck, but a little different. I like how that's aspiration. I've got the Statue of Liberty here. Courage for the Seven of Wands. Harmony. The Sage of Wands, the Seer. Child of Wands is the Seeker. The Woman of Wands or the Queen of Wands is the Censor. And the Man of Wands is the Actor. The Ace of Swords, Brilliance. I always kind of associated this card with Excalibur. And I can see how that connects here. Creativity. So sometimes with this card, I associate this with a reminder that perhaps you are grieving, or you have finished grieving and now it's time to start thinking about what comes next. And I can see where the energy of creativity comes in. If you're only taking the negative interpretation of this card, you might have a hard time finding a connection there. Logic. Negativity. Yeah. Confusion. And then, like with any keywords, if these keywords don't resonate for you, then don't use them. And if the images are working and the keywords aren't, use the images. Or if the keywords alone work great for you, use those. There you go. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next time around.